everybody. Thank you, Golden Valley Rotary. Just getting set up here a little bit. Yes, I put in this presentation, that we're here in the Brookview Community Room in beautiful Golden Valley. So a little bit about me. Peggy already said a lot, but here's my family. This is my Facebook cover photo as well, with my wife Stacy there, our children. I won't name them right now for privacy reasons, but there they are, and just because it's recorded. But I am a family man. Stacy and I met 10.5 years ago in Madison. We were born and raised in Madison, so I put a little Go Badgers. But she works for the University of Minnesota, so we're very proud Gopher #2 fans too. And I started working, you already heard that, in brain imaging a long time ago. Moved to LA. I was there for a long time, which was really interesting to be in California, having a love of tech because there's so much of it going on there. And but I was really busy, so I really wanted to be able to help more people however they needed help. And I just noticed that so much of my time was just going to my job and travel. And we wanted to have children. So noticing that I excelled in helping people with tech and finance. I've been passionate about both for a really long time. I switched to become a mortgage loan officer a year and a half ago, and that's been really, really great. It's crazy, as you probably most of you know, that market's crazy and interest rates, are back to a more historically average level, but people have been, enjoying sub 4% and even sub 3% for a while, 30-year fixed rates, and now that they're around 5 or 5.5, somewhere in there, it's been crazy for people. But anyway, so I love helping people with tech-related questions, and I am kind of the go-to for most of my friends and community that I'm a part of. So happy to do that here. And I just wanted to, I always want to make it practical and purposeful, I guess, in terms of the tech tips that I give. And I didn't want to repeat too much that I've already done in the past in the archive recordings, but what we may have a little bit of overlap. So starting out, I wanted to go and get our feet wet here just with acronyms, also known as internet abbreviations. This is the other quotation there, but what are they? Why use them? And how to use them effectively. So some examples. I'm pretty sure you all have seen some of these before, like before, info, CU. All these are pretty obvious. And here are other most commonly used ones. Some of them I think are repeated as well. The reason I wanted to just put this up really quickly is because this first one in particular has gotten grossly misused from time to time, and I just want to help us all elevate our tech game a little bit. If you're using an internet acronym or abbreviation, make sure you really know what it means, because LOL, some people thought that it means lots of love. So maybe someone's like, oh, I'm so sad, my mom passed away. And then someone else, meaning well, says, oh, LOL. Yeah, that's what you did. We have we have an example of that. So this is what I'm trying to elevate us all a little bit. It's okay. We are where we are. It's first time getting going on something. We all come from somewhere and we learn. So with these, they're constantly developing. There are, I'm sure, 1,000 more, and they're changing all the time. They come from usually the youth that are gaming or in their texting here or there, and so it's good to try to keep up with those. A lot of this I like to call kind of a form of hygiene. Like you got your normal hygiene, you got your tech hygiene. Just think of it like that. You got to keep up with it and just ask questions. And if you don't understand, just be willing to ask questions and say, I'm not really sure how to get that. Yeah, this is open forum here. SMS, do you have sound for it? That is something media. It's like simple media message. I can't remember. SMS, the message is simple media something. I can't even remember. See, a lot of the time I just, MMS is mixed media and SMS is simple media. I can't remember what the S is, but anyway, I make no promises of knowing what all acronyms mean. But anyway, emoji or emoticons is the next one. And why use an acronym? I didn't actually go over that. They're just fast. Ultimately, a lot of the stuff in tech that we see is just efficiency. It's faster to do it this way. It's easier to do it this way. It's also understanding how communication in particular, it's a cultural thing. It changes over time. You have perhaps seen when you search the meaning of a word, now Google will show like how frequently has that word been used. And some words come into fashion in different decades or centuries, and some go out of fashion. And sometimes they go here and there, depending on, context. Maybe there's a great movie or book or something that people hear a word, or they hear, just like you hear music for the first time, perhaps that hadn't been played in a long time, and all of a sudden it shoots to #1 charts. All right. So with emojis, um, this is what they are. They're just little cute little pictures, kind of like icons. That's what they are. The reason to use them is kind of obvious. I'm sure this seems like stupidly obvious, maybe in some ways, but you're expressing emotion, or the way I put it is some of the biggest problems in early digital text communication was that people in email and in text very often come off too cold or even harsh um, when they don't intend to be. And if you've ever been told this, um, it's something to consider is like, could I use an emoji perhaps to lighten up my communication a little bit? It may feel like it's too juvenile to you, but the reality is now emojis are even accepted in business, so long as they're appropriately used and not, and by that I mean don't overuse them. You don't need to like put a string of them, and again, you don't want to be well, it's just like normal spoken language. You want to be sincere. Okay. So how to use them effectively. Here's where I'm going to get into some more nuts and bolts of like, how do you actually get to an emoji on a particular platform really concisely. So on an iPhone, you got this little smiley face. And if that makes you happy just to look at it, great, it's doing that. But you can also use your finger and push it when you're trying to type just about anywhere. They'll allow you to do that. Now, some in more recent iOS updates, they have limited it now, so like you can only do a text keyboard, for example, if that's all they want. Just a second, I'm going to say connect later to someone. So when that pops up, you'll get to choose all of them, and now it's really nice. And this is what I recommend to those of you that don't want to just spend time memorizing this whole list and then thinking, oh, this is the perfect time for me to do, the drooly face emoji or whatever. Just type in what you're feeling or thinking, not like a long Google question, but a word or two. You could put eat or food or drool or whatever. And then you'll get a filtered list, a view of just a variety of different emojis that may be appropriate for what you're trying to say and enhance either some written language or just the emoji itself. Yes, Brian, you're very active and I like it. When would you use the alien emoji? Well, it can be playful, it can be out of this world. Yeah, exactly. They all, I mean, if you're watching, if staying in Roswell, maybe you're into space stuff and you're talking space talk. Who knows? There's kind of the sky's the limit. Uh, for an Android, it's similar. There you go, right? Take it to the highest levels. The question was, should we start a petition for the Rotary emoji? And I'm not opposed. So with Android, similar. Again, you just want to look for this type of icon in most formats. Windows and Macs, this is a little bit higher efficiency, and most people I've told this to did not know that this existed. So in Windows, if you actually hold down the Windows logo, it's on the bottom left, a lot of people don't know what that's for at all, but the Windows logo, and then push period, it will actually pop up with the emoji prompt. So I can show you that right now. I'll just open Microsoft Word. I'm not going to show you all the shortcuts I use all the time because that'd be too much. But see right there, I just push Windows period, and then I could say like, I don't know, see what happens with Rotary. Nope, there's nothing there. But we could say maybe community. No. How about sleepy? Oops. How about sleepy? Okay, so here's our options for sleepy. And you can choose more than one too. Keep going with them. So that's a sleepy one. That's a little frustrated sleepy, but there you go. You get the idea. That's what happens. It's very efficient because no matter what the platform you're in, like if you're typing an email or on social media, you can just do Windows key period. Boom, I'm just gonna start typing, there's an emoji all of a sudden. Or even if you're like making a subject to an email, if you really want to impress somebody by putting a smiley face right in the subject. Okay. Same thing with Apple. They've also enabled it, but you have to do Command plus Control plus Spacebar, and that will get you the same thing. I couldn't find a screenshot there, but there you go. Okay, moving forward. Oh, this again similar to Acronyms or internet abbreviations, they're just fun and efficient. It's just a way to communicate more efficiently than just words alone. Okay, I said that a little bit before, but I really wanted to drive that home. Now, Gifs, sometimes called GIFs. More often people call them Gifs now. Apparently, the creator says they're supposed to be called GIFs originally, but whatever. It can be a topic like the weather that you can have with people. So what is it? Here's Moira Rose for you. That's what they are. It's really a type of like short little video clip. Technically, GIF is an image format that allows for video, so it can be a still. I don't want to get too technical here, but basically, this is what they are colloquially. It's a moving image, like it could be a video clip, very often with text, not necessarily. Okay, why use them? Well, they're fun, again, but also they can explain things. It's similar to emojis that it can help clarify in a way that written text alone either can't do or just enhances, and it's something that's unique. And again, all three of these are very common amongst younger people, so it's important to understand that they're a very important part of communication now. So in particular, when it comes to texting or with social media. So how to use them effectively, I want to teach you that as well. So on an Android, similar to the smiley face, you click on this little icon there. Then there's oftentimes a little icon that says GIF right there. And then you get a whole list. You just search for something. Just like with emoji, you just type in whatever you want. Unlike emoji, it's many more and ever increasing. So you could type in Steve Urkel, and some Steve Urkel GIFs would come up. You could type in Minnesota Vikings, and those will pop up. You could probably type in Rotary, and I bet there will be some Rotary GIFs. We could even make our own. I sometimes make custom ones for people in my office from time to time. So not hard to do that. That's a separate thing. We're not going to go into that detail right now. On iPhone, similarly, they have this little icon which will pull up their GIF keyboard. So when you're typing a text, that'll allow you to search there. And the Giphy app is kind of the most commonly used one. Honestly, it's my favorite app. An interesting question that you can have for your friends, family, or at your next networking group is like, besides the native apps on your phone, what's your favorite app? And if you really like Gmail, I guess, because that's not native on an iPhone, you could say that. But it gets you to think a little bit about what's something that you use a lot if you have a smartphone that's not one of the native apps. And by native app, I mean like it comes with mail, it comes with phone, it comes with text, all that kind of stuff. So none of those. Of course, we're using text and phone a lot, but for me, I really do like the Giphy app. I actually use it as a keyboard just because there are more GIF options, and yeah, it's just fun. So any questions on GIFs? We're good, or GIFs? It's okay if you say GIF. I just say GIF. There's no judgment here. I'm not having that battle. There's plenty of other things we can disagree on if we want, right? But now I want to talk about data security a little bit. I talked about data security in past times, but here we're going to get into phishing this time. So what do you trust out in the world? There's so many people trying to steal our data, steal our sensitive information. I work as a mortgage loan officer that's dealing with tons of sensitive information. When people submit an application, they usually get inundated with phone calls and emails and mail of aggressive, some real, some fake mortgage offers. And how do you deal with that type of thing? So some examples, of course, the first examples of phishing most commonly that we've seen were mail. Just snail mail's been around for a really long time, and then phone, and then email, and then text, and then social media, and it'll come on in new flavors and new ways. It's just going to keep changing because scammers, that's what they do, is just come up with new ways to try to basically not have to earn money in legitimate ways. So they steal. And we see that also with websites, like entire websites being created all the time. And how do you determine what's real and what isn't? And how do you maintain trust in humanity? We believe in that for sure, right? And helping people and being willing to ask for help and determining what's real and what isn't. So first of all, it's best to err on the side of caution. This is definitely something where you want to be approaching, in particular, once there's a request for any sensitive information, and that could be, of course, your social security number, bank account information like that. Those are the really, really big ones. But passwords also in particular are really something you need to be cautious about before you enter in a password. So if you've got a request that's coming from, we can go through these, the mail, hey, call this number up for whatever. Can you search that online? Can you find and verify that this company is a legitimate company? Can you find their information through the Better Business Bureau or some other means? I know that that's not the only way to do it, but definitely try to cross-reference information. That's the best way that you can avoid scams, first and foremost, and stop before you enter in actual sensitive information. Like those, if you just take those two away, it's not ideal to click on a phishing email, but it happens. The problems are typically not when people click, although that can happen, and unfortunately, that can be enough in some cases. But typically, it's actually, in the vast majority of instances, a scam looks like it's legitimate. So they'll say, hey, log into your bank account to check your Wings credit union balances. We have an account there. Oh, okay, sure. Like there's a problem with my balances. I guess I'll have to log in now. So that's something where rather than me just logging in, whether that comes from a piece of mail, phone, email, text, whatever, excuse me, I should check with Wings separately. I know how to get in touch with Wings. I go online. This is not an advertisement for them specifically, but anyway, you go on and just find it separately and then, oh, confirm this is just a scam. And then to really do your full due diligence to help the community, it's reporting that scam as well. Understand that scams can and should be reported because it's worth trying if nothing else. Sure, a lot of them will get away most of the time, but if we catch some of them some of the time, that's good. Yes, Michelle.
I had one where they said that I was billed for an Amazon charge that I didn't have. And the way to fix it, the only way to fix it is I needed to download an app. And
Yep.
I clicked on it and I was like, hold on, before I do this. And I talked to your supervisor and he said, no.
Right.
No. I mean, and that was like to take over control of my phone was the app and they were really bossy. And so they tried
Yes.
to like install something or do something.
There are so many, it's so creative. There can even be a lot of phone calls now that look like it could look like it's coming from my number or any of our numbers where a loved one might say, that's weird. Huh, Thomas's number. And I've gotten callbacks from people from all over the country that said, this number just called me. And I did not call them. And it was a scammer that used somehow sophisticated means to make it seem like it was coming from my phone number. So, yes.
So like every day,
Mhm.
I get something saying that this is, the receipt for your purchase.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
it was something to do with supposedly I bought. I never heard of the company or anything. And I just delete it.
Yep.
And is that the best thing?
Like an email, you mean? Or like
Yeah.
I mean, I can't. So the question was, or excuse me, the statement was every day Mary is getting emails saying that there are receipts for purchases that she never made, and should she just delete them? Um, I mean, that's tough, right? Because first, I like to confirm what's this site that's saying that I purchased this. So I would try to confirm it through a search engine. What's the site? Um, Oftentimes, if you just Google the language that's used in the scam, people will report and say this exact same thing, right? And same with phone numbers. If you Google a phone number, sometimes it'll say this phone number with whatever they were saying. So I'll Google, that number. They're saying that they're from. There's so many car warranty ones and Social Security Administration. A lot of them are the same, but that can be a couple of quick, effective tips for just taking 5-10 minutes to slow it down. I would highly recommend, I didn't put it in this one because this was a previous one and we can talk about it. Make sure that your credit's frozen. That's free. It used to not be free, but with, I think it was the Experian or Equifax, I always forget which one of them had the huge data breach. Maybe one of you remember, but it was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Now you can all freeze your credit for free. You do need to unfreeze it if you apply for a new credit card or loan, but that's a really effective way to make sure that there's not new things like new card taken out. Otherwise, yeah, that's kind of like making sure that your cards are secure. And after that point, then I would say yes, for sure, it is just completely fake. But the likelihood of there being someone that had stolen your credit card information and then maybe it being a bill is not zero, unfortunately. As someone that checks credit with people, it's a pretty high rate of people that have bills and even collections that did not realize that they had either of those. And unfortunately, unpaid bills hurt your credit a lot, and collections hurt your credit a whole lot. And it's a mess to clean up. So we can talk more about it individually. I'm happy to help. Yeah, I can send out the links on that. That's no problem. Through the 3 bureaus, you can freeze your credit. Right. Using password managers. This is a different tech tip that I talked about a while back, but it's really best to not reuse passwords. I know it's hard not to, but you really make it a priority to identify a password manager that you like and trust and start one by one using them. They're not that hard, and actually it's faster overall once you get it going. So I highly recommend that. I'm not meaning none of you should feel bad if you're not using them or anything like that. It's okay. We are where we are, but it really is best practice. Yes, Michelle.
Is it true that you can just have a long password and that might be the most secure?
Yeah.
This is the password that Michelle thinks is most awesome.
Yeah. Password length is password length is very much one of the best ways to have a good password. It's a stronger password the longer it is, even if it is just, hey, we meet at Rotary at 12 p.m. on Tuesdays. It's like that could be your entire password. Yeah, it's just a mathematical equation. So the longer the password, the better. However, if you're reusing it, it's still the same problem because the idea is if a hacker gets one password and you're using them for everything, that means they have, especially for those sensitive things like your bank accounts, your credit cards, things like that, that's really not good to use the same password on multiple things. Yes, Mary.
So is like Google has manager.
Yeah. And Safari has one and Apple. Yeah, exactly. I mean, those are okay. They're okay. They're better than nothing, definitely. There are better versions that are proprietary, that specialize in password management. I've used 1Password and LastPass, and there are a lot of other ones. 1Password we really like. It's just the number one in password because it has family controls. So my wife has all kinds of passwords that she can only use for her work that I can't have access to, and vice versa. But then we have a lot of shared, and it works great because a ton of them we're sharing, our Netflix account and our bank account information and whatever. So just a couple more things. Spam, not only delicious, but also a problem. So I just wanted to talk about the Do Not Call Registry. This you can check out here, pause it if you're watching the video, but the National Do Not Call Registry was formed by the FTC. It works in principle. My calls went down a lot once I registered my number, and I do go there to report numbers from time to time. So that's what you're supposed to do when you get a spam call. So if you're on this list and anyone calls you, technically you could say, pardon me, I'm on the Do Not Call Registry. And as someone that is trained in this as part of becoming a licensed loan officer, it's a big no-no to call someone that's on the Do Not Call Registry, unless they've done business with you. I had to memorize this for the test. I think it's like within the last year or something. So if you're technically a client of somebody's, yeah, of course they can call you, or you've solicited business from them, or asked for help. And this is the last one: opting out of unsolicited offers of credit. This could be credit cards, mortgages, car loans, etc. We all know what this is like. Usually it's more often paper mail. And there are some pros and cons to opting out. I think it's mostly a good idea to opt out because it's just too much and it's a lot of paper to have all of that. And honestly, they can the legitimate offers can get mixed in with the illegitimate ones. Plus, if you understand that they're coming from the credit companies, which actually own your credit scores, by the way. I like to tell people it's not really your score, it's their score on you. Like they're doing actuarial science in effect to figure out, your lendability rating. That's what your credit score is. They sell basically trigger information. It could either just be your credit card information, your credit score and all kinds of metadata about you that's legitimate to say, hey, Thomas Johannsen lives XYZ, scores whatever, and companies will say, great, I'm going to offer him this credit card. That's why you get the mail. Likewise with mortgages and other loans, when someone like a client of mine applies for a new mortgage, there's a trigger that goes off, and then those companies will sell that information to other mortgage companies that are legitimate companies. And then they'll come in, and I kind of call them vultures in a way, and then they'll try to give offers. So to me, I think it's a legitimate form of business. It can be, but it also gets mixed in with the illegitimate and the more nefarious. Here's some links there again through the FTC. Optoutsprescreen.com is the official site for them. And in conclusion, here's me and my mom, because actually she has a tech training company, and I help out more and more with that. This is us with our nice basil harvest from last summer. And wow, she looks so different too now. She's been on a diet for 6-7 months and it's been going great. So she looks beautiful here, and yeah. I am happy to help, and we'll be more than happy to help or chat with anybody. I was mentioning that with Mary, or even an organization. I like doing this sort of thing a lot. It gives me a lot of, it feels rewarding because I'm good at it. I enjoy it. I like learning constantly about it. And I know that not everyone is as patient and enjoys it as much as I do, because it does not make me frustrated. So any questions? I know we're at time pretty much, but yes.
It's more a comment than a question. But I was told if you get something, an email that you're wondering about, if you check the address of the sender, if it's not coming from the company that you're talking about, like Comcast or something like that, it's likely a scam.
Yeah, so the question/comment was, can you check, if you check the actual email address, and sometimes they, depending on the program that you're looking in, sometimes it'll just show the name, so you have to hover over it to see the actual full email address, right? But if you look at the actual email address, and let's say it says it's coming from Thomas Johannsen, but you look on it and it's like offers.com, whatever, something that's not from me, is that a scam? Yeah, that's almost certainly in that case. The problem is what's difficult about trying to give rules on identifying scams is they're creative and changing and complicated. So yeah, generally that's true. But it's just kind of be careful about clicking on links. And like I said, really the biggest takeaway with all that is be careful about when you type in your sensitive information and have a trigger go off in your mind of, wait a second, I got to this through clicking on something, not just through the normal way. Or can I get to this same page through Googling it and everything? So that's good for now. Good for now. Thank you.